What is up, guys? It's Troy at the Full Setup, back with another video for you, and today we have an unboxing of the Arctic Freezer 34 eSports Duo. Now, I'm not going to do the normal install and benchmark of this that I normally do with most coolers that I get, and especially the coolers from Arctic. The reason is that I have already done that video with the Freezer 34 in black. Okay, so there's a link to that in the description, full installation guide and overclocking with a Ryzen 2600. I just asked them to send this over when they sent over the 360 liquid freezer cooler, because I said this is, to me, for a small little tower, I love my white and black builds. This is beautiful. It's a beautiful looking cooler, so I just wanted to show it off. I'll show you it in the case in a minute as well, but if you want to know how to install it, check in the video below, and also the differences between the Arctic Freezer 33, because it's only just a couple of little tweaks as well. So, but you should buy the 34 because the little tweaks are worth it. Better mounting bracket, slightly better fans, not massively, like 1 or 2 degrees. But I will also be using this to benchmark against the Freezer 36, Freezer 360 in that video as well. So I'm going to be using this as a what sort of performance you get of a Ryzen 3600 with a nice little air cooler, and what sort of performance you get of a big liquid cooler. So there will be some scores, and I'll also link that in the description. So this cooler, I'm not sure if it's out in many places yet. I've just done a quick Google, but it should be coming to market over the next month. And the Freezer 34 listed originally for about £50, but most places it's £35. It's £35 at Overclockers and £35 at Amazon and Scan as well. So yeah, tower CPU cooler with Bionix P series fans and push-pull configuration. Extended 10-year warranty as well if you register it with them on their website. Just a few little things about it as well. Compatible with most, modern Intel and AMD platforms. I think you can put it on the high end. Yeah, you can put it on 2011 V3 and 2066, but it won't go on Threadripper. Let's get some focus. Picture of it on the back there as well. Push-pull configuration. But the single fan ones do come with extra clips as well. But for the price difference, you might as well just buy the dual tower. Little bit of cooler performance there as well. And to be fair, the Ryzen included CPU coolers have been very good, and they still are very good compared to Intel, but shows you how it goes together there. But I think on this generation they're starting to be pushed a bit, and the cooler that came with the 3600 was actually slightly downgraded. Even though it looks the same, it's not built as well. The heatsink, I think it's missing the copper that the previous one had. Some specs here on the back, let's get that into focus. What are the fans rated at? 0.5 so, no dB, as you know I always complain about that. TDP of up to 210 watts, and the fans go from 200 to 2100 RPM. There's huge RPM range on Arctic fans. Fully recommend them, and I'm definitely going to buy some of these fans separately as well. We'll ask them to send some over. But yeah, they're definitely being pushed. So what I wanted to do for the 360 video was, because you can't overclock with a stock cooler on the 3600, there's not a lot of overclocking headroom anyway, like 150 megahertz, but I wanted to use another cooler to compare the difference between air and liquid from a smaller air cooler, and I was originally going to just use the black Freezer 34 anyway. Seen the white one was coming out and jumped on them, so we've got a little accessory pack there. Nice and snug, but they like the carbon neutral. They're very carbon neutral, Arctic, as well as carbon neutral as they can be. So they do pack their stuff in really snug. Jesus, this is beautiful. Look at that. I'm telling you, I know RGB's big, and I know I complain at Arctic that they should have a whole range of RGB stuff, but for the people that like the white and black builds, I don't think there's many better looking coolers, especially if you're not using very large CPU core counts and wanting to overclock. For most people, this thing, especially if you're running stock, will be perfect, but you can definitely do a bit of overclocking as well. Really nice looking. Oh, it's got white braid in there. Let's get these. Oh. Do you know what? I don't want to scratch this. That was my only complaint with the Freezer 33 and the 34. I scratched my 33, and it was my own fault, and I'll show you how I did it, assuming as we're not going to do an install. But yeah, it was my own fault that I did it. But the paint was very fragile, and I did feed that back to them, so I don't know what this paint's like, but I'm obviously not gonna, I don't want to test it because I've only got one. So here you can see there's a 4-pin PWM splitter, and then you have the other one to plug the fans in, which I said in my other video as well. obviously it's useful. It's very useful to have this, but my only issue with it is that it's sort of like connected here, and I found when I'm plugging that in, this was just sitting around somewhere, like I could see it. On in my motherboard, this was more on the fans. When you use the fan separately, you can hide it underneath the cooler, but yeah, I just prefer a splitter block. It's a great thing, but it's also a everything is white. The back plate is white. The whole mounting kit is white. Scared to scratch this. And this is another thing for me as well. I've always known PC parts that have been painted white just to scratch easier anyway. This isn't me having to go at Arctic. So putting that in with just all the bolts, to me, is a little bit of a recipe for disaster. For maybe something turning up scratch before you even installed it. Luckily they're not. And the mounting bracket is much improved on this over the Freezer 33 cooler. So yeah, if you did see the 33 cheaper, definitely buy the 34. I'll show that in the video in the description below. Plus you just got a bag of all your gubbins is in there, and as I said in my last Arctic video I unboxed as well, I would very much like to see those in separate bags. I know we're trying to reduce wastage, I fully agree with that, but for me, Intel and AMD separate bags, just marked out. Why not put it in a recyclable paper bag? It's a good idea for you there, isn't it? At least we can recycle it. So how I scratched it was putting the fans on inside a case. Okay, and one of these clips popped out. These clips do stay in pretty well, and I praise them that they do generally stick in quite well. But as I put it down, I wasn't really looking, and I sort of slipped and I scratched my 33 cooler there. So that is definitely something to look out. If the clip pops out, just very, very carefully put the clip back in, because if it slips, it will scratch. And a couple of other people reported that to me as well. So here are the P120 fans. So they're pressure optimized fans. Versus the original Arctic Freezer 33, which came with airflow based fans. Obviously it's better that they've got the static pressure fans. I did find, to be fair though, there wasn't a lot of difference in it, just a couple of degrees, but I don't know, I found that these sounded a little bit quieter when they were at full RPM. It just didn't sound as loud, but loving that. I just wish they were all white. I know the greys to give it some accent, but I just wish the whole thing was like snow white. I do like these fans, very good fans. Also as well, I reported in my last video about the RPM range on my Asus motherboard. That's some reason they don't see these properly when they're all linked up together. That's literally only on my Asus board. I've been testing with all my other boards and they work fine. So I've just been running these based on percentages. But I'll talk about it more in a big review video. All white on the back, and you'll find one of these has these little sort of foam clips on, depending on which side you do it, because these aren't central. Wow, it's all white. The whole thing is just, ooh, beautiful. 4 copper heat pipes there. Nice pure copper base. I'm going to be really taking my time installing this because I'm so nervous about scratching it. So here is a comparison of the two coolers. In white versus black. I know which one's winning for me. It's the white. On the side there. Let's have a look at them from the top. White and black. Right, so I'm going to be very... I don't know why, I'm really scared about putting this in the case. I think it's because I've scratched my original one, and I've scratched white stuff. Generally, I've not scratched much of my PC things, and black's okay, because you can just Sharpie it in. You won't see it up close, but I'm a little bit scared about this. And I think Arctic are going to sell a lot of these coolers, because not everyone likes RGB. And to be fair, even if you like RGB, but you didn't want an RGB like cooler in the middle, what you have to remember is white reflects, so this with RGB lighting all around your case will look really nice as well. So if you just want to just like solid purple or a solid colour, it will reflect off of this. So yeah, I've got to stop being nervous, put it in the PC. Let's have a little look. So the cooler is all in, like I said. Check out the link in the description if you want the full install guide. Really easy to install, and to be fair, it was a lot easier actually installing this off camera, because I hate installing coolers over a camera because I just get in the way all the time. I've decided to leave the Freezer 360 in for now, because we're literally going to be testing both of these coolers, I think maybe next weekend or the weekend after. it's not really getting in the way, so that's going to be left in the case. Also, one thing I noted about the 360, I said that way the tubes would cross over. About the 360 cooler, sort of doing that. If I go back the other way, I think if I go, like, there is a way for me to do it. There we go. If I twist it like that, I can actually have the VRM fan up the top as well for anyone who watched that video. Obviously, I didn't have that much movement to twist the tubes with that, so I'll update that video as well. So yeah, we will be able to put that little VRM fan into some use, although my VRM is generally always quite cool because you've got air coming through the case. But yeah, back to this cooler. Really like the look of it. Absolutely gorgeous. Like I said, these PWM things, I've decided to not link them together, so that would make it a little bit less messy. But even if you link two together, you would still have that one. So that would be kicking about somewhere. You've got to hide it. Now, I'll show you this. I'm sure if I cable tied that down, it might stay. There might be a grip there, but this is what I meant if you were putting them in sort of side areas. You actually end up that you just have this bit stuck about. So I'd like to see that removed, and for them to move into PWM splitters like Deep Cool. Definitely like to see that. But I'm really looking forward to testing out this cooler. Like I said, just an unboxing today. Check out the install video and the Ryzen 2600 numbers as well. Interested to see how this performs with the Ryzen 3600. I've just done a bit of gaming at stock and it's doing absolutely fine. Like I said, there's only about 150 megahertz in overclocking potential in it, and you have to add loads of voltage. So we'll see if this keeps up under some hardcore stuff. But more importantly, I want to see how cool it keeps it with this, because I'm thinking I can have almost a silent editing rig here. Anyway, any questions, as always, ask me in the description, and I will be comment section, and I'll be back with some more videos real soon.